it's a pleasure to be part of this event and have the opportunity to be on this particular track. What I want to do today is really somewhat tell a personal story. So in 2023, I set out to, soon after ChatGPT captured the public imagination, I, like many other people, decided I was going to write a book. And I decided I was going to write a book that tried to go beyond the bounds of traditional AI ethics. Now, not only did I decide to write about AI, I decided to also experiment with writing with AI. And in doing so, I decided first to help organize my ideas and to create chapter outlines, etc. But the more and more that I worked with the systems, the more it revealed to me something much deeper. It could capture and spit out words, but it couldn't capture my wisdom. It could create patterns, but not my purpose. And that's really when the tests kicked in. That's when I realized that I was going to have to double down on my own voice, my own vision, my own values and morals, because let's face it, AI has none. Now, it was able to mirror what I gave it, but it didn't always understand what I meant. The nuance, the cultural signals, or the weight behind my words. However, that really served to sharpen me, because I realized I was now going to have to fight for the clarity that I wanted to reflect in this book. It did not provide that. Like I said, it could produce the words, but it had a real challenge in capturing the depth of what I knew I wanted to say and what I could say. Now, I could have taken the easy route out and had it write something that was passable, but it wouldn't have captured the depth of what I needed to say. And that created a real tension. It was kind of like it tested me. You know, I had a real decision to make. And so it was kind of like an unspoken question. What part of myself was I willing to scale? And I think that that is going to be a question that we all are going to be faced with over and over and over as we work with these systems. And for me, I danced with this question for well over a year. AI shaped me, I shaped it. Each prompt, it stretched my imagination. I mean, I knew I had things to say, but working with the system, it allowed me to go beyond the things I could think to things I could really only sense. But that showed me something really profound, that when I think about AI ethics and artificial integrity is more than just building ethics into AI. It's really more about what kind of leaders are we? What kind of leaders can be entrusted with these intelligent systems? And that's really what I started to focus on. So the book took a major pivot from talking about just more technical things to more human things. And that's when the idea of artificial integrity crystallized, not as a technical solution, but as a moral compass. A call to embed alignment, empathy, and justice into AI systems from the ground up. Not as an afterthought, but as part of the architecture itself. So it wasn't about coding better machines to me. It became a matter of coding better leadership. I often hear people say, we want AI to be a reflection of us. And I say, really? I mean, reflect what? You know, mirrors reflect, but AI, it magnifies. So when you think about it, there's another part of the mirror that we can tap into. If we lead with intention, I believe that AI can become one of the greatest mentors that we've ever had. Because a mirror reflects what is, but a mentor can remind us of what might be. So you may say, mentor what? I say that we can use it to surface quiet assumptions that we have held or mistaken for truth. That we can have it slow us down when we're only thinking about optimizing for efficiency and speed. By holding us accountable for those things unseen, unsaid, and unresolved. I saw this firsthand in my writing experience when I asked AI to focus on some historical injustices. It got the facts, but what was remarkable, it missed the true harm. So it just spit out the facts, but it didn't understand the harm that was caused. And that's when I knew that we needed much more than just data. Many people talk about it's the data. Well, I question that now because the data was there. And I had another experience recently where AI went off the rails and it created some very disturbing results. And I asked it, I won't get into those, but I asked it, would you help me make a bomb? And then it went aha itself because it realized that the developers, the leaders, had closed that part off, but they had neglected to close out another part that spit out very damaging outputs. So I say that we need direction. AI exposes, but as I mentioned, I believe the opportunity is to have it help us to evolve. And it can be done if we lead it with intention. And that's where integrity comes in. Because as we all know, AI does not invent values, but is very, very powerful in terms of scaling them. So if we're not clear about what we're teaching it to believe about us, most importantly, it won't hesitate. It will learn from whatever's loudest, and I think we know, because there's some pretty loud voices back on the East Coast, that the loudest voice in the room is not always right. And I believe something to be very true, that what you optimize for is what you become. So if we train for speed, we'll get there very fast, but we'll lose direction. If we train for justice, it might take us longer, but we can get somewhere worth going. And if we lead with integrity, it stops becoming, AI stops becoming merely a mirror, and it starts becoming more of a map, a guide. So another example in the book was when I asked it to help me write about justice, it defaulted time and time again to courtroom metaphors. I wasn't even thinking about that type of justice, but it immediately went to courtroom metaphors, judges and verdicts. And then I realized that we have taught it that justice means punishment, not healing. It did not learn that. We taught it that. So if I was struggling with this in my book, I could only think about what's happening in the healthcare systems that are out here impacting people's lives. What's happening in the parole algorithms that are determining if people are able to go home, back home to their loved ones, or stay imprisoned. What's happening to loan applications that are being determined by the AI system that has been, once again, trained by us. So this reveals something much deeper than my writing process. It reflected, once again, what we have taught these systems to believe about fairness itself. So we don't just need better machines. We need better, stronger humans. AI is actually asking us to define what matters at scale. Artificial integrity is asking us to design with memory so that the past isn't erased in the name of optimization. To build with empathy so that the systems feel the people that they serve. And to scale with alignment so that we don't automate in high definition. Alignment is not a technical act. It's a leadership stance. So if we stay vague, the system will fill in the blanks. If we stay silent, the machine will echo the loudest voice in the room. And if we stay neutral, we will scale what's ever already dominant. Now I've been asked to, you said 2 minutes? Okay. So let me go here. I would suggest to you that we need to focus on building systems that don't just work. We need to build systems that heal. Systems that go beyond efficiency, to build systems that are designed for empathy. And instead of scaling simply for intelligence, we need to scale for humanity. Because a very uncomfortable truth is bias is a design flaw unless it's a business model. And I believe too many of the design flaws are actually business models. Thank you. So this is a leadership call, not to regulate AI, but to reframe it. Because you don't have to be a coder to shape the system. But you do have to decide if you're willing to lead. Artificial integrity, as I mentioned, is not a framework to slow things down. It's a compass to ask, are we aligned, are we awake, and are we ready? Because the machine is learning, and it's learning from us. So if we train it with fear, we'll sow division. If we train it with empathy, it will mirror care. If we train it with clarity, it will move with direction. Ethical debt compounds much faster than technical debt. Bad code can get patched. However, lost trust doesn't get re-downloaded. So, the mirror will continue to reflect our choices. The mentor will ask, can we live with them? So this is the mandate, lead with integrity or be led by default. I thought I was writing a book about AI, but it became a book about becoming. Because these systems will keep evolving. So the question is, will we? With every prompt, every pattern, and every choice. So I asked you a question. What part of yourself are you willing to scale? What part of you is going to echo in these machines? So when you sit down with your next AI tomorrow, ask yourself that question. Because the future, we won't just be scaling it. We won't be just scaling tools. It will reflect our priorities, our imagination, and our character. Thank you very much.